everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is Liz Loves Books. Today I have a book haul for you. I've got 10 books here that I've accumulated in the month of May, which honestly is a giant feat because my other months I was a crazy lady and I got way too many books, and that is mainly just because I worked at Half Price Books, so I got a 50% off discount on used books, and they're already a discounted store. So I've had so many books that I've hauled this year. A couple of these are from Half Price, but then a couple of them are Fairy Loot special editions. So let's get started with my first book that I got. I got this from Half Price Books. It's the first book in the series of The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I wanted to get at least the first book after I listened to it on audio because I'm going to be seeing Maggie Stiefvater in June for an event for her new book called The Listeners, which I'm assuming I will probably purchase at that event if it's available, so that one will be in my June book haul. So I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I've already, as I said, listened to it on audio, and I believe at Half Price this was like $4.99, so I got it for like $2, and it was like almost like, I don't think it was ever even read, or if it was read maybe like once, and it's in such good condition, so I was like, I have to snatch it because I don't see them really, at least at my store. I didn't see this series ever come in, so I snatched that one up. And then another book that I've got is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. I this year read Julie Soto's other book, Not Another Love Song, and gave it 5 stars. So I was like, okay, I need to get Julie Soto's other books. And when I went to the Barnes & Noble that was right near where I worked, they only had this one available. I was hoping to maybe get both of the other books that she's written, but she just had this one, so I snagged this one. And I love her covers because they're like hyper realistic, and I think they're really, really cool. So got this one. I got Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, the new gross covers, but again, still super great condition. I think I got it for like $6. And I believe this is the 4th book in the series because it goes Magnolia Parks, then Daisy Hates, Magnolia Parks, Into the Dark, I think, and then Daisy Hates a Great Undoing, and then Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, and then we're waiting for the last Daisy Hates book to be released. I've read the first Magnolia Parks book, and I'm excited to get into Daisy's story with Daisy Hates. Eventually, I'll get to this one eventually, right? Yeah. Then, this one's funny because I already had a copy of Binding 13. I ended up selling my copy on Pengo because someone donated to Half Price the ombre spine of the first book, which I don't think is in print anymore, like at bookstores. I've never seen it. And it's not on like Pengo ever, and someone donated the ombre spine, and I was like, yeah, I know, it can, my whole series can match. And again, super deal on this one. I think I got it for like $6-7. And the love is the best. Then next I got A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This was one I also got on my Barnes trip. I was actually looking for A Reaper at the Gates because that's the 3rd book. I've read An Ember in the Ashes, the 1st book. I have A Torch Against the Night, which is the 2nd book. But they didn't have Reaper at the Gates, they just had A Sky Beyond the Storm, and I was like, okay, I'm already here. I work out here, but since I'm gonna be stopping working at Half Price and working at a library now, I won't have a Barnes or a Half Price near me. So I was like, okay, I'll snag it, and of course it has the cool edges that create that image once you have all 4. So hopefully I can get A Reaper at the Gates soon. And I really, really want to read the 2nd book in this series because I gave An Ember in the Ashes, I think like a 4-star, maybe 4.5 star, but I really, really enjoyed it. Then I have The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, one of her standalone most recent release. I was able to purchase this off of someone that I follow on Instagram. They were clearing out all their books. I got this for $6 plus like a little bit of shipping. And it's so funny because I love this cover so much, but I also hate that this book has deckled edges. I hate the feeling of deckled edges, so this is gonna be a fun one to read. I'm like, should I read it with gloves? I don't know. But the cover is just beautiful. And you usually don't see books being released with deckled edges anymore, especially paperbacks. So I'm very intrigued about this one. I don't actually know anything about it, and I'm kind of happy that I don't, because I kind of want to go into it blind. Because what even is this book about with the cover? It looks like a religious deity, and then, oh my gosh, I've never looked at the back. Look at the back. That is beautiful. I love it so much. Oh my god. Wow. Whoever the cover artist is for this. It doesn't say. I'll have to look, because that is stunning. Then, also from Half Price Books, I love the Lore Olympus series by Rachel Smith. I know she releases them on Webtoon, but I wait to read them till I can get the hardcover bind up. And I have all of them in the Barnes & Noble editions, except for the first book. Because I didn't start reading the series until probably the third hardcover was out. So the Barnes & Noble edition of the first book is out of print. And then Half Price came through for me again, and someone donated the Barnes & Noble edition of the first volume. So I was able to grab that. I think it was stickered for $14.99, so I got it for $9 something, which is crazy because these are expensive. They retail for almost $27. So I now have this one to add to my collection, which I'm so excited. Okay, now we just have 3 more books, and these are two of them are Fairy Loot edition, and one of them is a deluxe Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. So we will start with the Fairy Loot. So the adult book, which I'm very intrigued to read, is called This Monster of Mine by Shalini Abesekara. And I just love the gold foiling along the cloak and just all the jewelry. And then the spine has the beautiful kind of rose gold foiling. And then the back is rather simple, but I think it's beautiful. And it says wisdom here. And then the sprayed edges, again, they're a little bit more simple sometimes than Fairy Loot does. But I love the juxtaposition between the dark blue, almost black, and the gold sword and leaves. And then if I take the dust jacket off, every Fairy Loot book has the reverse dust jacket. These are the insides of the traditional one with the sword and a ring, it looks like. And the traditional cover is a jade green. It has 2 hands touching, which I think is actually very pretty for a traditional edition. And then this is the author here. And what I love is when I read the description on the author, it says, Shalini Abesekara is a neurodivergent woman of color and a former lawyer based in Hamilton, Canada. So, she's smart. She's a smart girl. So I feel like she knows how to write a really good story. It also says she enjoys using fantasy as a mirror to interrogate both government policies and the bizarre workings of the business world. She is passionate about depicting other neurodivergent women of color reckoning with themselves and their place in a world that tells them they're too much or not enough. Yes, for the government policies and how it's just trash. And now we need to stand up for it. I love that so much. But the naked cover of this book, excuse me? Get me out of the frame. We don't want my face. We want this book. With just the main character in the forefront and then the 2 male characters, I'm assuming, in the back faded, and then the gold foiling, and then the back is just as beautiful. It's the 2 men in the foiling again, but then the city itself. Oh, it's stunning. And then you have the end papers. More gold. Give me all the gold. Look at that staircase with the Are they leaves? Yeah, they're leaves flowing. And the bookshelves. And then the other end page is different. It's the same two characters here, but it's like leaving probably like this palace, and then like the fire all around, like burned down the system. Ugh. I am so excited for this one. It's not on my June TBR. But who knows? I never read everything on my TBR anyway. Even though I try really hard to. I'm participating in the Amazing Readathon hosted by Brie at Four Paws in a Book on YouTube, who I'll link below. So maybe this book will fit a prompt better than any of my other ones. We'll see. And then this book I've been hearing so many good things about, so I really want to read this one too. But my June TBR, I did like a spinner wheel for my TBR, so these books weren't picked. But it's The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. I've heard so many good things about this from a couple of booktubers that I watch. Again, the gold foiling. I'm a fan. There's and then the back. And then these edges are a lot more simple. It's just like these feathers and like clouds in here. I do like the edges of this Monster of Mine more than the Wind Weaver, but it's still very pretty. I like that on the top part it's like a little darker and the bottom's the same. I think I wish that you'd have more of that dark gold on this part, but what can you do? Then we've got the Reverse Dust jacket here, which has more of that darker gold and like reds, and obviously it's got like the phoenix and the sky and stars and clouds, which is really pretty. And then our author here, it says Julie Johnson is a New England native and internationally best-selling author. When she's not writing, Julie can be found most often adding stamps to her passport, drinking too much coffee, and avoiding reality by disappearing between the pages of a book. She's published 20 other novels. I've never heard of her. 20 other books? That's crazy. I'm gonna have to see what those books are. Because I don't know if this is like her debut romantasy. I don't know. Anyway, hardcover. Also very pretty, but a completely different art style than this Monster of Mine. It's not as realistic, but it's still very, very pretty with that gold. And there's all the clouds on the back. And then the end papers are very interesting because they become a much cooler tone. They're like a gray blue, which is an interesting choice. I mean, it's pretty, but it doesn't really like match with the vibes. But I suppose you're not going to be standing there going like this. And then these end pages, I guess, are two male main characters again, like fire and ice or water. And I'm like, both of these Fairy Loot books have two men and a woman. And I'm like, love triangle or why choose? It's probably love triangle, but I want it to be a why choose. But I don't think my wishes will come true. If it's a love triangle, I'm going to be kind of sad because love triangles are not my most favorite thing because it's never truly a love triangle. You always know immediately which one she's going to be with. Like, there's never even, like, any competition. And I'm like, if you're going to have a love triangle, compete. Make them compete. Please. Thank you. Lastly, I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Midnight of the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I am so excited for this book. I loved the Shepherd King duology, and I just have the standard editions of those. So I was excited to get a deluxe. And so this one obviously has that blue foiling on the cover. But then the sprayed edges is another big sword and like purple, pinkish floral flowers. This cover, just the standard cover, is just so stunning. Like the half armor, half like girl with like her eyes covered because in all of Rachel's like promotion for the book, the main character I believe is like a seer and she's blind, so like the hair covering, I'm like, so smart. And then it even has a really nice end pages here. They're both the same on each end, but they're little moths with swords flying around. And then it's got a very simple little detail with the sword and the moth on the hardcover. This is on my TBR for June, so I think it might be the first book that I'm reading. Although I do have a book that's gonna go from May into June. It's a buddy read that I'm doing. So, and that one is a fantasy, but it's like a YA fantasy. So I think this book might be a good juxtaposition. Anyway, so those are all of my books that I've hauled for the month of May. I will see you in my next video or in my next June